PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast, our weekly Star Wars podcast here on PLD Projects. I'm your host, PLD, and with me, as always, my compatriot, my hetero life mate, my partner, my co-pilot, everything else you could possibly imagine on a good side of life. Not my foe, not my arch enemy. Everything good, everything but good. Matty Gunner, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, mate. Just long week, you know.
Yeah,
it's getting to that point now where like the end of the summer holidays are happening and everyone's starting to come back from holiday and everyone's like, hey, take a look at the holiday photos. Where like I normally go on vacation towards the end of the year.
Right.
I normally take some time off like around October, November time. Whereas like everyone else goes like during the summer. So while I've been busy getting stuff for Morna shows to be announced, we're shooting a music video next week. So I've been getting that sorted, new merch, pretty much everything kind of been on me while all the boys have been taking vacations with their family, their wives and kids and stuff, and me being the only single one with no kids.
Right.
And also being kind of the ringleader.
You? Get out of here.
Well, my name's on the tin, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
yeah, it's just been a hectic week, but we're here to talk about stars. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I do notice it is getting towards the end of summer now. I did get my wife sent me this new it was a picture from somewhere, probably Insta, I don't know, how like this is the last sunset we're getting after 8 p.m. for 2024 until whatever. And I'm kind of like, oh, so we are definitely on that downswing now towards the colder, less light of the year, which is my least favorite part of the year as far as that goes. I mean, I don't want to say it's bad, but I don't like cold, and I like having sunlight for longer. So give me that.
I mean, I'm looking out my window now. We still got sunlight, and it's 8:15 now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And
it hit 32. It hit 32 degrees Celsius the other day, which was a bit warm. You know, I'm used to warmer, but it's still pretty damn warm for a lot of people.
I feel like it's like, well, it's those things in summer, like people will complain about the heat. If it's hitting 100, hitting whatever, Fahrenheit, obviously, our differences there. Hitting 100, it's hitting whatever. I need to get cooler, and get cooler. I'm always kind of like, yeah, but I wouldn't mind it cooler, but then that means that we're getting to those like zeros and negatives eventually, and I'd much rather it be.
Do you prefer the cold or do you prefer the hot?
I prefer hot overall. I think hot. I can do something. I can do something about it. I have air conditioning that works well, and like heat doesn't work as well as air conditioning as far as I'm concerned. I can go outside and like it might be blistering a little bit, but I feel better because it's sun. Because it's like I don't like being able to see my breath, and I don't like the wind like attacking my lungs and not being able to breathe because it's so cold out. So that's not for me. But either way, we are here. Of course, we're not here to talk about the temperature, the weather. I'm sure talk about that. We're here to talk about Star Wars, of course. And it's been a week since we've gotten together. We actually have the big D23 drop since then. So that's going to be our main focus of conversation today, alongside other news bits and source things like that. Did you do anything Star Wars wise this week that you'd like to share with the class?
Other than seeing everyone post the same sizzle reel for Mandalorian and Grogu, because apparently people can't wait for it to, actually be shown on screen.
Hey, it's out there. It's out there.
It's out there.
All out there.
We're going to talk about it, but just like either put it out the day of or the day after, or like hire better security, I guess.
Yeah, it seemed like PJ Campbell was telling me, like we had this conversation about it, and he was like, it just seemed like Disney didn't really care this time. It's almost like they wanted this stuff to get out there to like generate talk and stuff. But to me, I'm kind of like, if you want that to happen, then just release the high def version of it. Don't like. Yeah. I mean, did I watch the leaks? Yes, I did. I'm not gonna lie, I did, because I'm a sucker and I can't wait sometimes. And it was all over my it was all on my Twitter feed and everything else. So I was like, all right, I'll take a look and see. I'm not upset. I did. It was like it wasn't for like because Mando had been filming for like 2-3 weeks now, 3 weeks maybe more at that point. Andor season 2 is done, but neither of them had like a whole shit ton of spoilers. And not only that, any of the spoilers, quote unquote, that are out there were out there in the description of footage anyway. So like it's not like it was that big of a deal at that point anyway. So I was okay with it. I would
as someone who has worked convention security in the past, it's not hard to walk up to someone and say, "Excuse me, can you put your phone away?"
Yeah, I don't think they cared. I don't think they cared.
I don't think they do. But like, if you don't want that stuff getting out, if you don't want it out, like,
of course,
do a bad job. Like,
I agree, and that's why I think that they didn't.
I like the comedy show approach of when you go to a comedy show, you put your phone in like a Ziploc bag and they put it in a locker. I really like that. Because, dude, I went to watch Twisters the other night, and this is a complete side tangent, and we'll get on to the thing. I went to watch Twisters, and I went to the 4DX one. Right, there is one 4DX screen near me. The next is not for like another 2 hours away.
Right,
and I was like, I've never watched a film in 4DX before. This was my first one watching it. So like the seats rumbling, everything. It's awesome. There was a dude like 2 rows in front of us who was on his iPad literally the entire time.
Oh my God.
And at one point I saw him on Wikipedia looking up the plot points of the film.
Oh my God. Why are you there?
I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, dude, look, your brightness. One, you're watching an iPad in a movie theater. Like, don't do that. Second, like, you have the brightness turned up so much, like you're ruining it for everyone in the back. Right. Can you move to the side where we can't see you, or can you turn the brightness down?
Right, absolutely. And turn it the fuck off. You're actually nicer. I was like, turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, I the dude paid. It was a £26 ticket, so like I had every right to rip the dude out and rip him out by the scruff of the neck and beat the shit out of him. But
absolutely,
then I would have thrown out.
I mean, I bring my phone to the theater, and I don't go on it unless like. I mean, I have a wife and kid, and they have some medical issues, and so I always like to have it with me, of course, everything else. But first of all, I always go to because of my work schedule, I tend to go Sunday at like 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock, or like around that time. There's barely ever anybody in the theaters. And I always sit in the back row in the left corner just in case. I go to the back, like there's no behind me.
Right.
No. I do that because in case I do need to see a text or whatever, I don't want to disturb anybody. So I'm kind of like, I'm away from everybody. No one's near me, generally speaking. I mean, on the occasion, if I go to a full screening, like I always won't do it then. I won't do it at all. I mean, it might come on my watch. I might glance at my watch down here like that, but otherwise, like I keep that shit away because it ruins it for everybody. And you should be immersed in the theater. That's part of the reason why. One of the things about the theater experience to me versus the at-home experience is the fact that it's so easy to be distracted when you're at home. You can put a movie on the TV, but your phone is right there. You get on your phone. You start talking to people. The cats come around. You get distracted. When you go in the theaters, you can actually be like it's like a immersion from everything else, shut out everything else in the world, and actually go with the art that's being created or shown to you, which is why I prefer the theatrical experience and always will.
And it's the same with concepts. Like that show did with Pierce with Poison the Well. Like there were so many people there that had like their phones out, and I'm like, guys, we're watching this iconic band play to a venue of about 150 people. This is a moment in time that we will never ever get to live again, and you're choosing to watch it through your phone screen.
This is for you, not for the people at home.
Yeah, and the people on YouTube that you're going to put up a grainy 30-second clip, and like the people that take photos of the title card of the film as it comes up. I'm like, get your fucking Instagram filter out of my face,
right?
100%. Because now I'm watching you take a picture. Like, anyway, whatever. My point being, like, MGS Con, shout out to Brandy and the people that run MGS Con. They hold their panels and everything digitally as well as in person. They have a portal that you can go to. You can buy a ticket. It's the exact same amount as an in-person ticket. So there's no disparaging. You log onto the portal. You select what panels you want to watch. and then you just watch the panel, and it's all there, stream live. Audio quality is great, video quality is great. I get you're not in the room with people, so it's very much like the vibe isn't the same, but you still get to, like I was watching the voice artist panel, and it had like David Hayter, Christopher Randolph, Vanessa Marshall, them all there telling these great stories, and I was sitting at home with friends watching it at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. We're having a great time.
Yeah, I've always advocated for that. I feel like the only thing that makes them hesitate if people go to the panels. Trust me, people are going to go to these panels whether they're digital or not, because people are going to go to the con. If they're at the con, they want to go to these panels. I think it's much better to have that option. Like, because I can't go to Celebration, I can't go to Japan. I would love to be able to sit down and watch, and like I'd pay like a nominal fee to like watch the panels recorded. Absolutely, and I get there's an exclusivity thing, but I feel like there's some kind of meeting around you could have that would be better for everybody.
Do you know what my idea would be?
What's that?
Stream the panel, cut off the exclusive footage from the stream. Like if you're watching from the panel, and if they want to have some like exclusive thing for people who are there,
right?
You can just flash up a warning. It wouldn't take hard. You know how to work OBS and everything. It's not hard to flash up a thing saying this stream will now end because of we're showing footage for exclusivity. Please come back at this time for the next panel.
I honestly think also it's a missed opportunity. Like you're putting this footage out there. You already know that people are going to leak it. People are going to get it and see it. People are going to describe it, if nothing else. So I kind of feel like there's a missed opportunity. Charge a nominal fee and say, all right, this is a panel exclusive, but if you want to pay $10 or something to see this trailer, yeah, we'll give you this footage for that. Absolutely. Make money off of it. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Get it out there anyway.
You could do, or just like put it up after the panel's finished.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the day after something. You still get the exclusive thing. You get 24 hours or a week later or something. So it's definitively going to be out there later on. This is what was out there. So I don't know.
We're going to talk about that. You asked me, what have I done anything in Star Wars? I have been preparing for Star Wars Outlaws the only way I know how, and that's by playing the same 3 Metal Gear Solid games over and over and over, which is pretty much what I do every week, all day, every day, and well, not all day. Right. That's what I do every day anyway.
Right.
There's a lot of there seems to be like a sneaking stealth element on there. And there's someone that has done a non-lethal run of Metal Gear Solid 2 multiple times, speed run. I figured I'd get my practice in. What about you? You've been reading the books, huh?
I've been doing well. I've mentioned this before. People don't understand how I read the way I read, and I get it. I understand it. For me, I'm very ADD when it comes to reading. So I have like right now, I can be reading up to like 12 to 15 books at once. And I'll read a chapter of one, I'll go on, read a chapter of another, read a chapter. There's a lot of things I want to read right now. Like I have this big spreadsheet to keep myself organized. And I know people are like, what are you nuts? I don't care. I'm going to throw it out there. Let me be called nuts. I have like this Kindle first slot because if you have like Amazon Prime, you get a free book every month. So I've been kind of like collecting those. I've been reading those. And they're usually quick, easy reads. I like that. I've been reading the Dragonlance saga from the beginning, kind of like a chronological project. But I also have a new book saga? Dragonlance, Dungeons and Dragons, back in the day, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. I love it. The movie was not good. I'm not gonna lie. There was like an animated movie that was made. It was not very good.
I thought you were about to say the new Dungeons and Dragons film. I was like, what are you talking about? That film ruled.
That film did rule. And I wish they would make Dragonlance is very fertile for it would be a wonderful series if done right. HBO Max kind of style. I mean, it's more like if Game of Thrones was a little more kid friendly, because it's definitely much more like that adventure, kind of vibe or whatever. But I think it'd be perfect. I'm reading Stephen King. I'm reading the Dresden Files again, which I love them. I've got Marvel Unlimited and DC and Infinite, so I'm kind of going through all the big comic book events, so like all the ones I read and missed over the years, since I have the chance to now. Kim gives me books to read. A lot of books to read. But one of the big things, one of the linchpins I've had of it is I have a Star Wars section, because I started, as I mentioned a bunch of times in the podcast, I'm going through Legends chronologically from the beginning of time all up until the end. And I love the idea now, because that's the one good thing about Disney ending the EU. I have a complete. I'm reading it all, and then I'll be done with it at that point. I mean, that's all be done, so I can go back. But we also decided to do that with canon as well. I kind of put a pause on the comic books I was reading. I'm still collecting them, but I haven't read the Star Wars, the Darth Vader in a bit. It's tempting to kind of catch up, because I want to get into the next level in October when the new ones come out with the Battle of Jakku and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'll have to see how that goes. But I'm reading Star Wars right now. I'm reading 3 books for Star Wars right now because I also have a temporary new slot. Sometimes a new book comes out, I just want to read it anyway. So the temporary one I'm still checking out is the Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, which is the I can't remember the author's name. I feel bad. This is a segment, folks. I thought about it, kind of winging it now. I should have done a little research and actually had some more.
Is that the one that they did like the Skywalker family?
It's kind of like that. It's in universe. It's in universe as Beaumont Kin, the character from Rise of Skywalker, and he's a historian, and so he's writing about the rise and the fall of the Galactic Empire from the political side, social side, almost like a history book in a way. He's doing reports. It's very interesting to read. It's a lot of stuff we know, but it's a lot more internal depth on some things. It's kind of a cool in universe way to get into the saga. So I've been reading that, which is a lot of fun. If some people might not like it because I could see it reading a little bit like a dry history book for them, but I think it's kind of cool to see what the in-universe thoughts are on the rise of Palpatine and the fall of Palpatine, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing I'm reading. The other 2 things I'm reading are I am on The Hutt Gambit, which is the second book, is my Legends reading now. The Hutt Gambit, which is the second book in the A.C. Crispin Han Solo trilogy.
I think I read that one.
Oh, you really should read this trilogy. And that's one of the things I'm doing when I kind of go through that. I'm like, these are the good ones. These are like, I don't really like the A.C. Crispin. I mean, there's 2 Han Solo trilogies. The more famous Brian Daley one that took place in like the early 80s, back when there wasn't very many Star Wars books out there at that point. There was the Han Solo one and the Lando Calrissian one. But then I believe it was the 90s, A.C. Crispin, who coincidentally for this channel also wrote the adaptation of V, the original miniseries, and a couple of novels in the V universe. She's also well known for doing Star Trek as well. She did Yesterday's Sun from Star Trek, I believe, and a couple other books of that nature. But she got to write a Han Solo trilogy, and obviously this is not canon now with the Star Wars movie coming out and everything else. It's totally a new version or an old version of Han Solo's history. But I got to tell you, it is a lot of fun. And if they had decided to do this, the trilogy to the Solo movie, I would have loved it. Because they have some great characterizations, great Hans. She has Han really nailed. I know at some point they have during the 3rd book, it actually jumps to the Brian Daley trilogy to try to make that canon inside this little universe. But it's really one of my favorite Legends trilogies. She's a wonderful author, great characters. I don't know much else to say about that, but I throw it out there. If you look it up, A.C. Crispin Han Solo trilogy, it's definitely worth a read, and I'm so happy to be reading that. So, finally, on the canon side of things, I had read a few of the books. I'm back into phase 1. I'd read phase 2 first, and I'm doing it chronologically. So I'm in phase 1 again. I've been reading a lot of the comics. I'm now as of last night, I'm just starting The Rising Storm again, which I
love that book.
But what I want to talk about more, because I don't have anything to talk about with this. Even I read it before, but I kind of more, and I think I'm actually enjoying the High Republic even more this way, considering I'm really reading them all. Instead of like waiting and reading, I'm reading it all just as one. I read a comic book series which I hadn't read previously, which was the Monster of Temple Peak, which is a High Republic Adventures, the Monster of Temple Peak. It's a 4-issue series.
Yeah, I got like 2 issues into it, and then I stopped.
I have to tell you after that, and I kind of thought this way a little bit before, but I'm about to definitively say I think my favorite High Republic character might be Ty Yorick.
Huh.
I am really enjoying the character of Ty Yorick, and I think it's because she's a little unique, like a former Jedi who's a monster hunter now. So you have someone who uses the Force, who has the lightsaber, doesn't prescribe to the Jedi tenets necessarily. We got some background information on her here in this book, or this comic book miniseries. I know she's in the one I'm about to read now. I always loved Elzar Mann, and I still do. Elzar Mann's probably my favorite Jedi. But
Elzar is the man.
But Ty Yorick has become very, very fun for me. So I'm excited to see where this goes with her. I'm going to keep an eye on all of her appearances and hope that she gets a good ending in phase 3. And I mean, Ty Yorick, I'm reading again. I don't understand, but I wouldn't be surprised if you told me at some point that she became the next Afra kind of character. I'd buy it because she kind of has that same vibe in terms of she's not like, yeah, you do that because I don't know anything. I mean, she's not like sarcastic or as morally gray or anything like that, but there's this kind of like strong presence character with adventures wide open. Like there's so many stories you could tell with her. So yeah, okay, how you do that, but hope we get more. That's where I am with her. I do enjoy her. So good.
That I will give you. That you will get more. It doesn't take two brain cells to put together who my favorite High Republic character is.
Martian Row.
Okay, maybe it does take more than two. Geode.
It's Geode. No, I do that. I was saying Martian Row because they're also the dark side characters. I do that.
Markion, he's definitely my top 3, but like Geode he's that kind of like stupid that I love.
And someone like you who loved the Ewok Adventure so much, you give it an 11, I believe. Geode being your number 1 makes a lot of sense, and that's I'm
waiting for my Geode rock opera.
That I can't wait for. Nice pun there. Nice pun. So, all right, that's our like little adventures. I think if you like this or if you don't like it, let me know in the comments if you want to if you want me to update my Star Wars reading. I mean, I'm on 2 novels now, so probably by next week I'll probably still be doing 2 novels. So I probably won't have much else to update, but maybe, who knows? 3 novels, I should say. I'll go a little quicker when I'm starting to read the comic books. I can go through some of those things a little bit. And someday, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I love what Alex and Molly do as far as like they do a lot of reviews of stuff, and a lot of Star Wars podcasts will do because that's what they do. They're Star Wars channels, not just a podcast. Everything they do is Star Wars. They have time to be able to they review almost everything that comes down Star Wars. But I would love to do that at some point, but this is a Star Wars podcast on a channel of other podcasts that I do too. So I can't, unfortunately. I wish I had the time to be able to commit to doing I would review every single one.
We've done a few books.
We have as main topics, absolutely. And we can still do that, absolutely. I might even say, I might say, Matty, as part of this podcast, you should go read the AC Crispin Han Solo trilogy and we'll cover it. Maybe we will at some point. Because I can totally see doing that. I wish I could review everything. I don't, this is not a Star Wars channel. It's just a Star Wars show. So a weekly Star Wars show, I can only do so much. But we'll do what we can, and we'll do some more. Maybe I'll add some Patreon content that way or something to that effect. Maybe when some of the other podcasts wind down for whatever reason, like when the review is done because there's nothing left in V to go through, something like that. We'll see. But yeah, if you like this stuff, you want me to talk about this weekly a little bit to have that kind of check in, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know too. I'm not going to be offended. I don't care. I'm a very hard to offend person.
He does care. He does care. Down, he cares.
I might care a little bit. I had feelings once. At least one feeling once way back in the day. Now I'm just a crusty, bitter old dude.
I got feelings too listening to you and PJ talk about John Wick.
Do you have that?
I like that.
Yeah. We did come back a lot. That's right. I'll throw that out now. It's a nice transitional plug right there. We did. PJ Campbell and I came back yesterday. Our first 2 Mediocre White Dudes episode in about 2 months. We went on hiatus due to the Doctor Who show, and then we just kind of extended the break after Doctor Who to kind of give us a summer pause, as you were. But we came back strong with John Wick yesterday, and that was a lot of fun.
I lost sleep watching it last night. I was like, I started watching it, and then I noticed it was midnight, which is when I usually go to sleep because I like to have a full 7 hours, like go from midnight, wake up at 7.
Right,
and then I was like, no, I can keep watching it. Like 6 hours will be enough. 6 hours will be enough sleep. And I was looking at the time I was watching. I was like, all right, 5.5. But like, I'll have to have coffee. Like, or should I put it off? And then it got to like partway through. I was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta finish this tomorrow. Like, as much as I love you too, as much as I love you too, I was like, I gotta start watching. I need to fucking sleep.
Hey, I get it. You can always finish it later on. It's not that.
I finished it now. But...
Oh, you finished it now. Perfect. Yeah, we had a good time. We had a fun time talking about it. I think we have a lot of cool points we raised. And I didn't have to take a lot of notes because I'd seen this one a bunch of times. I think I mentioned it on the show. When it comes to like John Wick 4, I'll probably have to take more notes because I've only seen John Wick 4 twice. I think I haven't watched it in the theaters. Yeah, I heard that. We'll see. All right, let's get into our news. We have 2 little small news bits before we break into our main topic of news, which of course is the D23 recap. Obviously, the big thing. I looked at Star Wars News Net as I do always every week for our news sources. Some interesting bits and pieces. First one was Disney turned a quarterly profit for the first time in streaming, which is a great sign, and I don't mean that I care about Disney's wallet or Disney's coffers as far as filling that. I don't. It's not my concern, except for the fact that if they're turning a streaming profit, that means they might have more money to give potentially eventually. So more content. That's what I'm saying. They might have more. Yes, I know they're gonna. I know you're laughing over there, but at least they could potentially throw some more content out there because they have the room to spare. That's the idea. I mean, the idea is to make them more money, of course, but that's the only thing I think it's a positive. That means that people are coming to watch the stuff, especially considering, like in the article, it said the Acolyte was one of their main, pretty much one of their main draws of this quarter.
How about that? The show that everyone hated.
Well, it did say no. Well, it was as far as main draws being like it was the main, as in like it was a new show that was out there. That what they were pushing for. It did say in there that despite Acolyte not being quite as strong as hoped for, Disney did turn a profit. And that unfortunately had to also had the caveat that it includes Hulu and ESPN Plus as part of that streaming category. This upcoming quarter is, of course, Agatha All Along and Skeleton Crew. Is there two big? Basically, anytime you get a big Marvel thing or a big Star Wars thing, those are going to be your linchpins that you're hoping to turn profit on. But it looks like enough people watch the Acolyte in order to push them over the top to finally get out there streaming profit wise. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see about that. I'm still interested to see. I'm up and down about whether it's going to happen. My predictions.
Manny seems to be leaning into it.
Manny does, but you know what? So is Tamura Morrison about Boba Fett season 2. Let's be honest. He's leaning more heavily than Season 2 has. Just throw it out there. You stay positive, my friend. I'm not going to try to douse your waters too much. I just have to put a little bit of truth out there occasionally. That's really all I have to say about that. I don't care about the actual profits.
Yeah, what that says to me is a company that's worth $156 billion. Then I just looked, it's $156.82 billion with a B is making more money that their executives are going to have for their Christmas bonuses this year, while the actors get paid dilly fucking squat.
Hey, that's definitely another side of the argument for sure. This is where we turn, where you become the negative person. I try to become the. At least it might mean more content. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hey, I'm just putting my realistic spin on it.
Absolutely. Hey, and you're that's what you're here for. All right, another
bet for putting down Acolyte season 2.
I'm not putting it down. I'm not putting it down. I want an Acolyte season 2.
I know.
I'm just not as confident about it as you are. All right. Anyway, another little tidbit of information. We're talking about the comics, which I've been reading a lot more, and I'm tempted. Like I said, I'm tempted to read the next saga that comes out there. Obviously, because the Darth Vader and Star Wars are both ending in September. I'm getting the post Jedi storyline after that. I wanted to wait until I got there, but will I? I don't know. I might not. We'll see. But the upcoming final issue of Darth Vader is actually going to include a backup story, which makes sense because it's actually a lot more expensive. If I looked at it, like the comics are usually like $3.99, and this one's gonna be like double that. But I guess there's a backup story in this one about which includes a nod to the old Infinities style of thing, the old What If Star Wars kind of thing, and it's having a story that involves Leia standing by Vader at his side. So a dark side Leia potentially. I'm interested to see what that means. I'm interested to see what that's going to do. I know. Obviously, canon-wise, it doesn't mean anything, but I've always loved to explore the what ifs of Star Wars, just like the what ifs of Marvel. Infinities was always a fun Legends comic for me when I was younger, and I can't wait to get to those as well. But well, those are separate from the canon, so that'd be like the last thing I read, pretty much. I think so. I have a while to go for that. But yeah, what do you have a thought? Do you like that kind of what if stuff? Are you into that kind of what if
stuff? Not particularly. I mean, I thought the what if Marvel shows were entertaining. They're entertaining. Like they entertain I can pull them away as like separate stories, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I know how the story actually goes. So it's more of like it's difficult for me to put myself in that space of but that's not how it happened.
Right.
And it's weird because like I saw the new season 3 of Marvel What If, and they have the Avengers Gundams.
Yes.
And as someone I grew up watching Gundam Wing, so you would think that I would be like, fuck yeah, I'm in. I saw it and I was like, huh, cool. And I've just never been super into the what if stuff, and a lot of like the multiversal stuff kind of, I don't know, it's just never been my bag really.
And that's fair. So with the rumor that was floating around for a while that we were trying to get a Star Wars what if, you're not excited about that then, huh?
I'm excited about the one that we're gonna get.
Oh, okay.
The Lego one.
The Lego. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. We're gonna talk about that soon, sure enough.
Yeah.
I do wonder, honestly, the funny thing is, like, now that we bring that up, and we'll get into it in a little bit as far as the Lego Rebuild the Galaxy goes, there was a rumor flying around that we would do a Star Wars what if. That was the rumor. That was going to potentially be a Disney Plus show, maybe an animated, maybe not. And it was kind of like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. I do wonder if this is where the rumor came from. I do wonder if like this was an idea that the Lego people were doing, and they're putting it out there, and all of a sudden, like somebody saw a synopsis somewhere and like put two and two together and go, oh, we're gonna get a Star Wars what if show or something potentially.
I honestly think it's the perfect way to do it. I honestly think that the Lego doing it via Lego is that's the perfect way to do it, because then it is for me anyway, because then I can help, like, it helps me not take it as seriously when I see like Darth Jar Jar showing up. PLD, I was on a show that you were hosting with Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy, where the last thing I had to do on the show was tear down the argument of Jar Jar being a Sith Lord on the general debate that time, that I absolutely destroyed the whole thing.
I do remember that.
What clenched me the win was shooting down the idea of Jar Jar being a Sith. And I vehemently destroyed that argument.
And now you get to watch it.
With the rule of two. And now I get to watch it with my own two eyes happen.
Love it. I love it so much. Yeah. So.
And here's that clip of me arguing the point against Jar
Jar. Okay. So that's the other news bits we have. We're going to break into D23 now as our main topic. Obviously, D23 recap happened this weekend. We'll talk about it. We'll do a quick overview before you get into like more of the nitty gritty. We had what we got and what we didn't have. Overall, I think was pretty successful. I can't say I'm disappointed, because I had a couple of long shots I threw out there that didn't happen. So I labeled them as long shots. So I still can't really say that I'm disappointed, but at the same time,
I can tell you're a Queen fan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want it all.
I do want it all.
I want it all. and I want it now.
Absolutely. I want to get through those long shots that didn't happen. We did have the panel with Manny Jacinto about the Acolyte, and I will throw out there.
My friends Kevin and Sarah, they were there, and they got to see it, and nice. They got to take pictures and meet with Manny. And
nice.
They got his autograph, took pictures. Apparently, he is one of the loveliest people they've ever met. He stayed. Aww. He stayed for everyone that wanted a picture and that wanted an autograph with him. So I want that put out into the universe, that I will take a picture flexing with Manny Jacinto.
That's fair. That's fair. We should get that out there. Hey, he'll be at Celebration, so
he will be at Celebration. But it was just cool hearing that he seems like, from what I was told, he seems great, like truly grateful for the opportunity that he's been given, and I really respect that. Like, someone who is like truly like giving back to the fans.
100%.
Like, he stayed for everyone that wanted a picture, and he stayed for everyone that wanted an autograph, and to talk, to hear what they had to say about the show and his character. And yeah, I thought that was really cool, like hearing that from them.
Yeah, no, I that's awesome to hear. He does seem like a genuinely sweet dude. I will say, I remember I threw it out there as a long shot that they might announce a season 2 there, especially because they had billed it as Manny Jacinto from the first season of Acolyte, instead of saying from the series The Acolyte. It's kind of I look into things too much sometimes, and maybe that's my problem. At the same time, sometimes those things are actually important to discuss, and sometimes in a way. But Manny Jacinto does not. There was no announcement. He did say that he said fingers crossed they'd be able to continue the story. But it looks like we have no announcement. Yeah. I love that you're so confident about this. I love that.
You don't drop Plagueis and Yoda right at the end without them at least having the conversation.
Well, of course they had the idea to do it. That's nothing new. They have the idea to do it. Whether it's going to be passed through the big bucks of Disney saying, well, it didn't make enough streaming enough for it, so no.
It made enough.
Well, I'm glad you know that. Glad you
Good man enough.
The other side of things, which this one I was a little more disappointed at, to be honest, because this one was less of a long shot. It did have the animated panel. I'm not disappointed at the animated panel. I guess it was kind of fun. They did a big, long history on things. But there was no new announcement for an animated show, which I kind of thought was going to be the thing. It felt like Bad Batch has been over for a while now. We don't have anything technically coming up. We have nothing announced for the future except for Star Wars Vision Season 3, which I kind of consider like an outlier anyway. It's kind of like that's not what Disney Lucasfilm Animation is doing. I mean, I know they're involved, but that's more the other worldwide studios, which is I love the concept. I love Vision Season 1 and 2. But at this point, I feel like we should know what Disney Lucasfilm Animation is doing. Like they're doing something, right? They have to be. So
yeah, they're probably just saving it for Celebration.
And that's the argument to be made. The D23 is a Disney thing. It's not a Lucasfilm thing. We do have Celebration coming up in April. And I got to remember also that Lucasfilm doesn't, I don't want to say they treat animation poorly because that's not what I'm saying. But in terms of like, as far as marketing
they keep
goes,
it separate.
As far as marketing goes, they're more likely to drop like, this is what we're doing in Celebration, and 4 weeks later it comes out. Like, it's kind of one of those kind of like, this is what we're doing here. It's like a quick turnaround rather than kind of like they don't draw out big. It's not a big public push, for example.
I mean, you've only got to look at they drop it Wednesdays at midnight, and then the live shows they drop prime time on
absolutely
on Tuesdays. They like to keep them separate. I'm not so I agree with you. It's not like they treat it poorly, but I do think that there is a separation between the two.
Absolutely, and you are correct in that we have Celebration coming up, and I think Celebration. I would actually be very disappointed if there wasn't a ton of news dropped at Celebration. Because right now, if we look at it, what do we know? Like when Celebration hits in April, what do we know is happening beyond that right now? We have the announced Mandalorian and Grogu.
Well, Andor, apparently, according to Diego Luna, Andor's coming early 2025.
Andor's coming 2025. That's what I'm saying.
Early 2025 as well.
Andor
he said early, so it's like
Andor Season 2 will be done. I think February, March, we're done. I think Andor Season 2 will be done. So that's what I'm saying. So if Mandalorian Grogu, this is announced.
Lando, maybe.
We might have, but that's kind of on the back burner. We know there's Ahsoka 2, Season 2 being developed.
That'll probably get announced.
That's all we have right now. That's all we know. So this is the place where we're going to have, I think this is where the animated series you have to have information about the animated series. It's got to happen.
It's in Tokyo, so they're not going to go there with nothing.
Right, absolutely.
It's arguably a bigger market than Anaheim, definitely London. This is Japan we're talking about. Right. There's so many people that are going to be there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we have to have news. We're going to have news of what's coming next as far as Disney Plus goes. Because at that point, Ahsoka Season 2 is it. That's all we know of, and that's in development. So we'll probably get an announcement about maybe what the release date will be, like what they're aiming for, maybe. Conversation with Dave Filoni. We're developing this. This is what's happening. Because that'll be a little bit, at least part.
I think we'll get a loose one. Probably like summer 2026 or 7. I don't know if they'll give like an exact one. They'll probably do what they did at D23 with Mandalorian and Grogu. They'll probably just play a sizzle reel, have Rosario and Hayden come out on stage and be like, "Hey, we're coming back for Season 2, guys. We're really excited to do it. We're really excited to continue the story further on. Blah 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 blah. Talk a little bit about how excited they are, and then."
Potentially, but that's the question I have though, is in terms of like, because we don't even know, because I was under the impression that Ahsoka Season 2 wasn't going to come out until after Mandalorian and Grogu Season 1, or not Season 1, the movie, Mandalorian and Grogu the movie, because I think it's like kind of like Mandalorian and Grogu is the next thing, then maybe Ahsoka, then Skeleton Crew technically is part of the Mandoverse. I'm not sure how connected it is, but we'll get there. Skeleton Crew, then Mando is next, then Ahsoka Season 2 before we move into Dave's Mandalorian movie or whatever. So
we talked about this. I think they're going to be separate. I think the story of Ahsoka and Sabine and the Mandoverse is now split.
Even with the idea that the Mandalorian, Dave Filoni's Mandalorian movie is supposed to be the climactic end of everything.
I think so. I think you can take Ezra and Hera and those characters, put them in the Mandalorian movie. But I think Ahsoka and Sabine's story is now going that way.
That's an interesting angle. I've never thought about that. I mean, I've never like everyone's always basically said this is going to be like an Avengers Portal movie eventually when you have everybody come into play.
Nah, too tacky.
It'd be interesting to not see Ahsoka in that kind of finale, especially considering we know how much Dave loves the character. But you could be right. You could be right. But even so, my business-wise sense, you have Andor season 2 coming out in the beginning of 2025, February, March, somewhere around there. Celebration comes out. Is there nothing planned for the rest of the season, series, rest of the year on D23? There's nothing in the next holiday season coming out. Are we literally going to do just the one show per season, like in the year?
Who knows? Maybe it'd be a very animation dominated year because Marvel have also got a big year coming up next year. And as much as like it or not, they are still under the same Disney umbrella. So maybe it's got to be a case of like, right, you had your because as far as streaming goes, Star Wars is the more dominant one out of Marvel. So maybe in terms of theatrical side, Disney is saying, okay, you've had your time, step aside for a moment, let Marvel have its time, and then we'll bring you back to the theaters in 2026.
So nothing else. That'd be interesting.
I don't know about nothing else, but maybe it'd be a very like animation.
Well, animated. I'm saying no live action Disney shows. I will say I'm going to toss out there something, an idea potentially to throw out there. Skeleton Crew, as we originally knew, was actually supposed to come out at one point a year ago, holiday time, like November, December 2023. What if they are so? I mean, we've heard there's reports from people that I don't really necessarily trust that they're saying that Lucasfilm wasn't happy with it or something to that effect. And I never really corroborated, so I don't really know.
If they weren't happy with it, they wouldn't put it out.
Well, that's not true. That's not entirely true. Because sometimes it's a sunk cost at some point. If it's filmed and everything else, they're going to put it out, even if they're not thrilled with it. But that was the reason why they were pushing it back first. They say like reshoots potentially and everything else. I don't know. We'll have to see. But my main topic here is putting that aside. Maybe instead, maybe it's the opposite, and maybe they have done this, and maybe they've already started filming season 2, and we don't even know. Like they're so confident in that. They're so confident in it that they said, you know what, we like this. It's hooked to the Mandoverse. We can hook it in this way to the Mandoverse thing. We could have this come out and be a second season. Like we have season 1 come out at the end of season 1. It says, boom, stay tuned for season 2 next year in December 2025. Or something, something like that, potentially.
I don't know. I'm trying not to think about like any like secret projects because anytime we thought about that, it's turned out to be Fugazi.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and I say this as someone who is a fan of both Star Wars and Metal Gear Solid, so I constantly look for the little nitty bitty of, oh, they're doing this, so that means they're doing this. Oh, he's like, oh, they talked about someone, so who said this line, so that means someone's doing this. But I'm just like, I don't know if they got the money to just be playing it to be.
Yeah, I
not
totally
okay, not money, but like the capital, like the stakes to just be like.
Fully got it. I fully got it. I mean, it would be definitely a unique swing, but I do know that John Watts is a pretty well developed and really well liked guy. Unfortunately, Disney has been doing Lucasfilm, especially Disney Plus, has been trying to go for lesser, like Sharmado made Chinoy. Leslie Headland is like she had Russian Doll, but she wasn't exactly a well established Hollywood mega bar. John Watts has the Spider-Man stuff. He has the Old Man. He had Cop Car. John Watts has a name for himself, and he's worked with Disney a lot. So it might be one of those kind of people they want to double down on. I could see that and say, you know what? Let's do 2 seasons. Let's just do 2 seasons and get it done. We'll push this back 1. We'll do this another time, and we'll put it out the next year. So back-to-back seasons. I just find it weird potentially that we have Andor February of 2025, and we don't have anything until Mandalorian 2026 live action. That seems strange. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I feel like there's something that's going to be circled in there, especially with Celebration 2025 happening. I feel like something big is going to be announced there as well. I don't know. We'll have to say. But those are the things that didn't happen. We should talk about the stuff that did happen. I was very happy with how much they pushed at D23. A lot of times they don't. Like last year, they didn't even appear. I don't think they didn't really do anything at D23, or it was just.
We got a Phantom Menace. I think what magazine was it? It wasn't Variety. It was one of the big.
Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
Vanity Fair, I think it was the article about the Phantom Menace, and
Right.
it was just an interview with Hayden and you.
Right.
Oh no, I tell you what it was. It was the cover with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it was his look back on the prequels and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Was that
That's
D23?
what we got. Yes,
Okay.
that's what it was. Because I remember seeing that come out, and I was like, I fucking knew it.
Well, there was nothing in the Disney panel, the big entertainment panel. They didn't do anything there, right? So this year, I was glad to see they did. They actually had 3 big ish kind of things, or 4-ish. The one that wasn't even a part of the panel. But let's get into that now. Let's get into that. The first thing we'll talk about that was kind of outside that main big panel was the Lego Star Wars. We talked about Rebuild the Galaxy. We have that dropping in, let's see, it looks like September 13th. It is, I'm going to put this up on the screen in a second. No, that's not what I'm going to do. There we go. I'll play this in the background without sound, just so you can kind of look and see what we're getting into here. We got it. So it's a 4-part miniseries debuting September 13th. It's including Darth Jar Jar, a love story between Greedo and Leia. Interesting. Interesting. I saw that poster, that wonderful poster about the Attack of the Clones.
So you mean to tell me Greedo shot his shot at Leia first?
Greedo shot a shot for Han. That's right. The Attack of the Clones style poster, which I liked, which is kind of fun. We have the white Darth Vader, which is another nod to the Infinities brand, the whole white Darth Vader. And there's also going to be a Luke Skywalker storyline or whatever involved as well, which some articles had mentioned he's going to be like a surfer boy Luke Skywalker. Interestingly enough, I'm interested to see how that goes. It does feature Mark Hamill as Luke, and he's also a consulting producer. Now, I like to toss things out there, toss little grenades, and then run away. I like that he's doing that. He's voicing Luke. He is consulting on stories. Is this leading to some potential? We do get a Luke Skywalker animated show eventually, which I would love to see. What Mark doing?
Tell me that is not Patrick Swayze that we just saw on there as the actual character. Like that is my fan cast. That is my recast come to life there of the Sways as Luke Skywalker.
It pretty much is. It is definitely. I am an FBI agent. Keanu Reeves. Point Break. Star Wars, pretty much there. Absolutely.
Synopsis. Well, Ewok bounty hunters.
Absolutely. The synopsis of the films or the series, a miniseries. By the way, which we are going to cover. I didn't even tell you that's going to be that week's discussion. We're going to watch all 4 and break them down.
For sure.
The synopsis: in Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, the entire Star Wars galaxy gets completely mixed up when an ordinary nerf herder, Sig Greebling, Gaten Matarazzo from Stranger Things, unearths a powerful artifact from a hidden Jedi temple. He finds himself thrust into adventure in a new, wondrously wild, twisted version of the galaxy, where good guys are bad and bad guys are good, and the fate of all depends on Sig becoming the hero who can put all the pieces back together again. And now listen to this cast. I know someone just popped up there on the screen there. You got Galen Matarazzo, Tony Revolori, Marci Martin, Bobby Moynihan, Michael Cusack, Ahmed Best, Mark Hamill, Naomi Ackie. So we're going to get Jana probably from Rise of Skywalker in there. Anthony Daniels, Kelly Marie Tran returning.
Hell yeah, we'd love to hear that.
Billy D. Williams, D. Bradley Baker, T.C. Carson, Trevor Duvall, Jake Green, Jennifer Hale, Phil Lamar, Ross Marquand, Piotr Michael, Kevin Michael
Phil Lamar?
Phil Lamar, yes.
Sick.
I don't know who that is, honestly. Who is that?
Does the voice of Vamp in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, that's right. That's why I don't know it. Jennifer Hale, Kevin Michael Richardson, Helen Sadler, Matt Sloan, Matthew Wood, of course, who I love, Sam Witwer, not shocked there,
of course,
and Shelby Young. Great set of casts. Great idea. I have always loved the Lego stuff. It's always been a fun watching for me. I haven't even seen. There's some of them I haven't actually watched yet because I didn't know they were out. I always have a good time, but this looks specifically like they're really putting their all into a big release here. I can't wait to see this goes down. This is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
No, I mean, we're getting Darth Jar Jar. We're getting Darth Nubs.
Darth Nubs. Yeah, that's right.
You see, go back and scroll back. You can see him there standing behind Darth Jar Jar.
Where is that? Which
go back. I can't believe. Have you not seen it?
I did not see Darth Nubs. No, I saw the trailer, but I missed Darth Nubs.
No, where we see Darth Jar Jar. Keep going. No, go for it.
All right, this is great for our audio listeners.
So PLD is currently scrolling through. We see the X-wings on Vader's castle.
Of course, the Admiral Akbar, the Mon Calamari is the First Order. I like that as well. Of course, it's a wrap.
Right, get ready.
Okay,
it's coming up.
There's Luke. There's the cantina. There's Luke Skywalker. I think there's the surfer boy Luke Skywalker that they were talking about. I love that. I love that they're poking fun a little bit of at Last Jedi, but like they're doing it in a playful, fun way, which I love. I'm okay with that.
As opposed to most of the internet.
Yes, true.
All right, here we go. Get ready. It's coming.
Evil 3PO.
All right, start going frame by frame now.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Right there.
Right there. Evil Nubs. Who knew? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Fair enough.
Between Kit Fisto and Darth Jar Jar.
Oh, God, I love it. I love it so much.
Has anyone checked on Ken Knapsack?
Poor Ken, poor crew. Justice for Nubs as you were. All right. Well, that's going to be the Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, September 13th. So our next episode, which will be the following Wednesday, we'll go into detail about that. Next up, we had the actual D23. The first thing that came into play was, in fact, the official teaser finally is out there from Skeleton Crew. We knew this was going to happen. This is like the least, the least secretive thing out there. This is the Yedda that has to happen.
Interesting enough, there was some stuff that wasn't in the celebration footage.
Well, right. I mean, that's to be expected. I think the same thing happened with Mando and everything else. Like our Acolyte, for example, they kind of took the celebration, they kind of just tweaked it a little bit here and there from what I've gathered. What did you think of the trailer, the teaser? Before we yeah,
it looks awesome. Looks great to me. It's seeing like suburban life in Star Wars. I think is pretty cool. I know a lot of people are like, there shouldn't be flyers in space. There shouldn't be suburbs in Star Wars. Why not? Like, what? This is a story about like the average people, right?
Right.
You're happy with it in Andor, but when we start making it about the kids, which Star Wars has always been before, then you have a problem. And this is just, it really does capture that Amblin feel of like child wonder and adventure. Like this part here where they're looking into that we know is the ship. I forget the name of the ship, but it's the abandoned ship that they find. It's reminds me of Stand By Me.
I will say that shot right there reminded me of Goonies. The skeleton, the actual skeleton, like the skull HUD, totally reminded me of the Goonies. I'm all for it.
The shot of the suburbs, that's E.T.
Yeah, absolutely. I will throw it out there. Yeah, some people were complaining about that, and I feel like that's a thing for everybody in terms of like it's always something when something new is taking place in Star Wars. It does take a little bit to get used to. I mean, I looked at it and was kind of like, oh, that's new. I don't hate it. I just like that's new. Interesting. But I think like when you watch it, it'll be fine. You'll get used to it. I think it's great because we don't have a lot of middle class Star Wars. We have a lot of like higher ups with like the Mon Mothma types and Coruscant and everything else. We have like the Andor, like the lower class type at that point. We don't get a lot of that mid-level people across the galaxy. I think that's a good thing to showcase.
And middle class people.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling like this is like you're gonna see the suburbs very briefly. Like it's gonna be the beginning of the show. That's gonna be it. So like I don't have any real issue with it at all. I do want to jump forward and say I do love the Amblin feel. I love Carrie Condon there, of course. I love her as the teacher. But I do love the idea we have these kids, and I will say overall, the response to this trailer has been mostly positive.
Yeah,
like, even among some of the other side of things. Like the worst I hear is basically, well, Star Wars has a bad track record for them, so it's there's nothing about the trailer itself. There's nothing about the trailer itself.
Track record.
Well, to them it does because they don't like Acolyte, they don't like anything, they don't like Obi-Wan, they don't like anything. So for them, it's like, well, I don't trust them yet. But when that's your main talking point, I'll pause it for a second. When that's your main talking point, though, is that you're like, well, I don't like what they've done, so I don't really trust this yet. That's a good thing because that means they don't have anything to really point out in here saying, oh, this is bad, this is bad, that's it. Suburbia was like the one thing that kind of like bubbled up, but even that was kind of a minor thing. I mean, even some of the people I know, like, were like, who I expected to hate the trailer, were like, oh, this actually looks kind of fun, this looks kind of cool. So I'm interested to see how this goes down at this point. But I love the ambulance side of things for sure. I think it's a great adventure. This is great. This is thing that should have been on Star Wars for a while.
We've talked as well about maybe we're going to do like a how do the Amblin movies fit into this. But the main kid, I forget the name. I'll learn the names properly when the show's coming out. And they're like, I think it's a lost Jedi temple. And you see earlier in the trailer, like he's looking out his window at school.
Yeah,
like he don't want to be in school. He wants to be out adventuring the galaxy. It's very much like Luke Skywalker standing on the hill looking at the twin suns.
You got the mobile of the ship.
He's got the mobile over his head. It's the broom boy looking up into the stars. It's that childish wonder. And like this is the first time we're seeing like school system that's not the Jedi temple.
Right.
So like why are these kids like, what about other than that, if the Force resides in all living things, what is it like for these kids that aren't going to the Jedi temple, this institutionalized, they're essentially in a Star Wars version of I'm guessing by the looks of it, it's probably a private school. Right. But what does a private school in Star Wars look like? Are the bullies still pieces of shit? Like, do they get like free lunches as children should do? What are the teachers like? Is there a hot geography teacher?
Van Halen's hot for teacher plays in the background.
Mark Ellis would lose his shit.
I love it. I agree exactly. Like there's always been kind of this what if in history, like what if Steven Spielberg had directed a Star Wars movie? Because obviously George and Steve are close friends, and see, I know, and yes, obviously Steven did do part of Revenge of the Sith uncredited. He did do some of those sequences there. But this is exactly what you're pointing it out. This feels like a Steven Spielberg type film in Star Wars, except for it's a series. And John Watts has been noted for that. He did Cop Car, like I said, he did the Spider-Man trilogy, the Homecoming Spider-Man trilogy. He's good at working with a younger cast and everything else. And the sense of adventure, the sense of wonder in this trailer got me so excited. It is such a great kids show. I mean that in every possible way positively, because some people will dismiss like, oh, it's a kid show. No, this is a kid show. This is a hopeful adventure, which is what A New Hope really was, which is what Star Wars is. When you're a young kid and you're looking out the star, you are channeling. You should be channeling that character, that Luke Skywalker, that kind of like, what am I going to do? What adventures can I have? And I'm hoping we're going to get a little bit of a darker side. They mentioned Stranger Things. I don't think we're going to get nearly as dark as Stranger Things.
No, we're not going to have like Vecna show up, but like. Right. Speaking to Jude Law's character, there's like you have the main kid is like, you're a Jedi. There's no way he's a Jedi. Looking at how he's floating the key there, how dramatically he pulls the hood off. Yeah. He's not. He may. I don't even think he's a Force user. From the way he looked, how that key was like floating across. He's probably doing the same as Raja.
Yeah.
In Obi-Wan, he's got the magnets.
I was like thinking about that as well. I'm hoping. Here's my hope for him. I agree. I don't think he's a Jedi. Well, he's definitely not a Jedi then, obviously, but I think he's going to be more of a con man. I think he does have 100%. The Force. I think he does have the Force, and I actually love that for him. I love the idea that we can differentiate him from just being a con man who try to use. This is a guy who can use the Force and uses it in a way that's not necessarily Sith-like, not a dark side use, but he's definitely not a Jedi either. So he just got to use it for his cons and do like little things just to help him out. He's probably not very strong on the Force. He's not like a big Force user, but he can. I'm hoping because that's a new character we haven't seen in Star Wars yet. We've kind of seen like, again, we get down that road with Kumail a little bit, but not nearly to that degree. Could it be a failed Padawan like Kanan? I could see that happening. Like maybe he went in there younger and kind of like got kicked out, or maybe he was sent to what they used to do on Legends, the agricultural corps. He's like, screw this, I'm gone. I'm going to just live my life and just use what little I know about the Force and do a little bit to make my way known. But yeah, I like the fact that I could see that. I don't think he'll be an Order 66 survivor. I don't think that's the tack we do this time.
From the feeling, from an interview I read with Jude Law, he said that a lot of his character arc is about him realizing his potential and becoming who he's supposed to be. I would imagine they're going to pull something similar to Sabine, of like he's faking, like he's going to fake it till he makes it. Like he's faking using the Force. He's faking using the Force. Like he's using it to trick these kids. And then the time is going to come when he actually has to use the Force to save the kids. And that's when he's going to step up, and he's going to be like, they're going to find out that he can't actually use the Force and he's just going to be a con man. But there's going to be a moment where he has to step up, and maybe he does actually use it. As opposed to just like using it as like a lie or a con. And it's just like finding, because the interview was talking a lot about like him becoming who he's supposed to be.
My thoughts on that is something similar to that. I think, like I said, I think he uses the Force for his own gain, and I don't think he has anybody out there. He has no family. Maybe he lost a daughter, lost a kid somewhere along the way, and that's what kind of triggers it. Maybe that would trigger him to go off and become this con man kind of thing, and then the kids like kind of reawaken something in him. I think the kids believe in him, and he's going to use that to his advantage. He's going to be like, "Yeah, I'm a Jedi. I'm going to do this, and I'll lead you to do it. We'll get out of here." And then at some point, he's going to leave them in the dust, kind of thing, and like do his own thing. But then, for whatever reason, he's going to come. He'll have that pang of consciousness, and he'll come back, and he'll be the Jedi that they want him to be for them, so to speak. He won't be a powerful Jedi, but he'll be able to use the Force just enough to be able to like keep it together and save the day somehow. I think it's going to be a great, wonderful moment. I'm already looking forward to it. Jad Nanawood. I love that name, by the way. I love it. Jad Nanawood. Or is it Jad Nawood? I don't know how they're saying it yet necessarily.
I think Jad. I don't know. Just call him Jad. Jod
Deal for Jod.
Jod Law.
Jod Law, that's right, Jod Law. But yeah, I think this was a great trailer, a great teaser. It doesn't tell you the story. We already know what's already been said. Like
most kids go off on an adventure, get lost, and they got to find their way back home.
Absolutely, and we do see some cool things though. We get to see like there was one thing that confirmed. I initially had this idea that maybe at one point I was like, well, I wonder if it takes place like the Ahsoka galaxy, and that was a tie-in to the Mandoverse. It was like they were going to be lost in that kind of space or whatever. That was proven wrong. Not that I thought it was going to happen, but we had the X-wing flying over at one point, which is cool. So we're definitely in Republic space at that point for sure. But there's a lot of good. The kids look great. The kids look fun. I love the Nick Frost character. It's me.
Yeah.
A broken down, junky, lived in kind of robot, not shiny at all. I think it's a great character. I think we're going to be a big fan of them.
Jawas.
Him for sure.
We got more Jawas. That makes me happy.
Yeah, we got some Jawas. Got the Wolfman there. Love that. It's just Sabin. I can't even say that. The Wolfman in Star Wars. I get those characters out there.
Wolfman. I can never pronounce it.
Just Sabin. So overall, I'm very, very happy with what we got for Skeleton Crew for sure. It's exactly what we were given, and it was a perfect teaser. It doesn't set up much, just gives you that tone, which is a Amblin tone. I'll be interested to see. Probably get another trailer in a month's time, 2 months' time or so to get closer, and we'll see if there's anything more story-wise at that point. But I don't think we need much more. I'm all in. I'm all in. Just so you know, I could not do a trailer reaction because I was at work when it dropped, and I saw it later on. And
I was looking for it, but I was like, I guess he didn't do one.
I didn't get to do one. I usually do. I'm not a big trailer reaction channel. That's not. I have done it for a lot of the Star Wars stuff, but I want that known out there. This is in no way like saying that I'm not excited about this because I very much am. It was just timing didn't work, and I don't want to try to fake it. I was like, I couldn't wait to get home, so I watched it on my phone during my lunch break. So I couldn't.
It's like I have to bring him up again, but when Kojima goes and like he sees a movie,
right?
Like if he like Deadpool and Wolverine, like he wrote like this bit, like Last Jedi, he went on Reddit and he did like an entire essay about how much he loves The Last Jedi. Based Kojima. Cool. When he saw the Marvels, he just wrote "saw the Marvels," and everyone was like, "Oh." Okay. So that's like become your barometer now. If like there's no trailer reaction, that's your saw the Marvels.
Yeah, definitely not that. I just got too excited to see it. I couldn't wait to get home to do an actual proper reaction. Hopefully, I'll do it again for the actual when that trailer drops. I'll try to do one for that. Hopefully. Well, I don't know. I kind of tend to like. I'm not good. I don't feel like I'm very good at trailer reactions, so I don't know what to say. But we'll definitely talk about it for sure. All right, let's move on to the next story. Unless you have anything else to drop about Skeleton Crew. Jude Law did come out. It was nice to see him.
I like that they moved the date because that means that there's an episode dropping on Christmas Eve.
That's an interesting thing, actually. We should talk about that briefly because December 3rd is the start. A lot of people had pitched like November, end of November, like Thanksgiving time.
I
But
think the first announcement was November 23rd.
there was never an announcement. It was always kind of like, I don't think there was ever an announcement. It was all about, it was never official. It was all kind of like, oh, it's going to be around holiday times 2024 is what they said. And so people were like, well, holiday times, they'll probably drop it around Thanksgiving in order to go into December and into the Christmas kind of season. That was like what people thought. So this is the first time they have the actual date of December 3rd, which is going to be interesting to me. It's interesting that they're dropping that because of what you said, Christmas Eve. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think so.
Because like people don't tend to watch a lot of TV on Christmas Eve necessarily. Will they do that for this? I don't. Families tend not to.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
Really, I know Doctor Who is a special thing on Christmas Day, but it's usually Christmas Day, and it's after. It's like later at night on Christmas Day when the events are all pretty much done. So I don't know.
My sister, it used to be we used to watch The Wizard of Oz every Christmas Eve. That was always on.
That's a fair play, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting to see. I'm interested to see if it's successful or not. I will say that it's going to be a little weird for us because I'm not going to be doing an episode on Christmas, so our review of the show may come a little bit late for that week's episode for sure. At this point, we do get a 2-episode drop on December 3rd. So that's for sure. Same thing happens on New Year's Eve. There's another drop on New Year's Eve. I'm more amenable to doing a New Year's Day.
I definitely ain't watching it New Year's Eve.
Oh, so there you go. That's right. You're young. You're young and partying.
Well,
man, I'm out. I'm like, if I'm working, first of all, so I'll be working New Year's night, so I can't get those times off. But if I'm not, I'm on the couch at 9 and I'm like asleep by 10. Kim and I will wake up and go, "Hey, Happy New Year's!" Kiss, go back to sleep. That's our rousing New Year's Eve celebrations. But I'm interested to say, so we'll have to discuss that as we get closer and figure out what's going on with it. If they are going to do those shows on those dates, we'll have to do it later on in the week, which is fine. I have no problem doing that. But yeah, so okay. Anything else on Skeleton Crew, or should we move on?
Yes, move on.
All right, let's move on then to our next topic. We have Andor Season 2 sizzle and info. This was a lot of fun as well. We did get Diego Luna coming on. He didn't say anything that was new or basically will follow Cassian over the period of 4 years. He grows into the rebel hero. We see fulfill his destiny with the ultimate sacrifice in Rogue One. He talks more about Cassian. The more important thing to me about it was he does say, quote, little event. This is actually an interview later on, like a post D23 interview. Little events are going to show him that he could be different, but he has to believe himself. He has to believe in strength of numbers that a revolution represents. He has to meet many characters. It's going to be a very rich second season because you were introduced to many characters in the first season, and there's so many characters that we all know have to come and be a part of this for Rogue One to happen. So that's a big drop.
Can I tell you what he also said in that interview that I really loved? And it's something that I'm gonna like try and keep to. Stop trying to guess what's gonna happen. Put away the phone. Put away the internet. Stop trying to guess what's gonna come and just immerse yourself in it. Wait for it to come, because otherwise, if you keep looking for stuff, you're gonna find it. And I was like, that's exactly it. And I am Exhibit A because I didn't read a thing about the Acolyte, and I loved it a lot more than I would say most people probably did. So when he said that, I was like, yeah, because like we know Krennic's going to be appearing.
Well, that was one of the big drops because Krennic appeared in the teaser, in the sizzle footage, got a big applause. So we know that K2, returning of K2, and Alan Tudyk actually appeared in the sizzle as well behind the scenes and on camera. Again, we knew that was going to happen. Tudyk. Love Alan Tudyk, and I love K2SO, so I'm excited to see him again as we get closer to the end.
When he said that he has Alan Tudyk over for the and has his family over for the holidays, that like really like warmed my heart.
Yeah, same. It's wonderful to see. Yeah, but that was basically it. The sizzle didn't show a whole lot. It just kind of gave us the tone.
Good.
It gave us exactly what we're doing. It did show Ben Mendelsohn. It did show Alan Tudyk. It showed some footage from Mon Mothma, which was nice seeing her in the Senate. We do get a little footage of Luthen Rail. it was a quick sizzle, a quick footage, and it looks good. It looks like exactly what we wanted it to be. So I really can't wait. And I'm going to predict, this is a bold prediction, and maybe I should make this prediction, but I don't care. I will. I think I'm going to like Andor season 2 even better than 1. I do think that, because I think that if there was anything missing from Andor season 1, for me, if there's anything missing, it's a little bit of that Star Wars soup I talk about. Not that we're going to get lightsabers or anything in our season 2. That's not going to happen. But I think we are going to build that connectivity out just a bit more. Just a bit more to, obviously, we got to get into Rogue One. Obviously, we're going to get more into the Rebellion. We had Mon Mothma, we had Saw Gerrera in season 1. But I feel like it's going to be a little more, like season 1 was a little bit more disconnected from the rest of the Star Wars universe overall, because of its tone, because of things like there was no real character we could grab onto too much besides Mon Mothma, besides Saw. And not that was a bad thing, but I do, you know me, I love the connectivity. So I think we're going to get a little more of that. I'm excited to see what we do.
Well, he even said that the last episode of Andor ends minutes before.
Right. Supposed to go right into Rogue One
starts. Yeah. And he even said in the interview, he was like, you would be silly not to book the day off to watch the last episode and then go right into Rogue One.
I think I will.
I was like, I'm probably going to do that.
I absolutely will do that. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because it'll be fun to do that. Although I almost want to like binge the whole thing. So season 1, season 2 into Rogue One, and like, let's see what happens. That'd be a real long.
Yeah, because he did mention that Andor season 2 will make Rogue One look like a whole new film. And I'm curious to know what he meant by that, because Rogue One seems to be the movie that the fan base like is solely unified on. Of like, yes,
good. Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that viewpoint might change.
I think my take on that is that the fact that Rogue One introduced so many new characters and so many new storylines, and like now we're watching Rogue One after seeing these characters get background. So we have the background of the characters that we didn't have when we originally watched them in Rogue One. So we get to watch Cassian Andor having seen him grown up through season 1 and 2. So we knew that we're even a little more attached to him than we were before. So interesting to see. And of course,
I don't like there was no B2.
No B2. No, I think we're done with B2. I think we might not have B2.
Don't you dare! I will reach through this screen.
I don't know. I don't see much on his planet there. I mean, Bix was there, but I don't know if Bix has stayed at the planet. I mean, she was leaving at the end of season 2. They're all leaving at the end of season 2. I don't know. I'll have to see. I don't know, B2 left with him, so maybe. I'll have to see.
Here's the footage of B2 surviving.
Fair enough. I'm excited, though. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun time. And, of course, I always make that prediction. Luthen Rail is not in Rogue One. So let's see how that... Yeah, that's what I kind of think we're going to have.
I just wish that Saw Gerrera died.
Do you think Saw Gerrera has something to do with Luthen Rail's death as well?
Oh, dude. I hope I forget you said that by the time the show airs.
I know nothing. I'm just tossing it out there for sure. Like, because we've had Saw.
I forget that you said that, because that would be
heartbreaking.
I fucking hate him even more.
I love him. I love the character. I don't like. I hate him.
Obviously, Luthen tried to set him up.
You don't set up Saw Gerrera. Either way, all I really hope for is I hope that Luthen gets another like monologue to sink his teeth into. Because
I hope he gets one every episode.
Oh, I do too, but I'm hoping we get at least 1 or 2 really good song ones there, because it's not going to happen every episode. But I would love to see more than not. So
the only thing that I'm like, I really hope I see, but I will be like okay if it doesn't happen. Actually, I won't be okay. Like, I'll be upset, but internally, I won't go and rage, put it on the internet. Bring that back. He's not doing anything.
That's a good point. Although it's kind of like
he hasn't got anything going on right now.
The question you have about that is, where does he fit in the story? It's kind of the same as with
Krennic.
Jyn Erso. Jyn Erso's not in the movie either, obviously, and because she's not in that story. It's not part of her story. Because Andor
has she been born?
It's her. Yeah, well, at this point, yeah, because it's going right into Rogue One.
Or maybe he's in it before. Maybe he's in one of the arcs like 4 years before.
It could be. I mean, we actually have. It depends on, because obviously Rogue One opens with Krennic taking Mads, killing Mads' wife, and Jyn Erso going with Saw. As far as that time frame goes, obviously there's a big time jump between Jyn as a kid and Jyn as an adult. So where does that time frame fit in? Do we have potential of Mads working with Ben Mendelsohn? We could absolutely could happen. Although it's I don't know. Well, I guess he is and he isn't. Like, I don't want to see Jyn Erso in the show. I don't think.
I don't want to see Jyn. I just want to see Galen.
Well, Jyn, and then I'm coming to that, as I think Jyn doesn't have a point in the story. It's kind of more glorified. I mean, if she is, she is. But like, I feel like that's Jyn's movie is Rogue One. Like, that's her storyline as far as this goes. As far as, because Andor doesn't know about that. How much does he know about his character, Galen's character? I mean, I guess you have him with Krennic. Maybe it could potentially happen. I guess. But
or maybe he shows up. Oh, dude! Imagine a scene with Ben Mendelsohn, Stellan Skarsgård, and Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah,
all three acting together.
It's a good set of crew right there.
Oh my god!
I really do hope we get, at least since we know they're both in there. I would love to see Luthen and Krennic have something go. That'd be a great scenery chewing dialogue right there. So. All right. Anything else about Andor season 2 before we close things out with Mando?
Hurry up and bring it out. Hurry up and put it out.
Okay.
I want to watch it.
My prediction is February 2025. I think that's where we go with. Maybe March.
March. Yeah, I'm leaning March.
Yeah, I'll give it a little bit of time off between Skeleton Crew and Andor.
And also, isn't Captain America coming out in February?
Yep, that's true. That's true. I don't know.
Maybe end of Feb, beginning of March.
Potentially. I definitely potentially go from there. I do think we'll probably be done, or maybe we'll just be finishing by the time Celebration rolls around. Maybe that's what it'll be. Could absolutely be that way. So
play the last episode at Celebration.
Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be shocked. Of course, that means I have to do my review on my own. Damn it.
That's fine. I'll be watching it at a Japanese convention center with a 1 kilogram cheese Domino's pizza and sake bombs.
Fair enough. All right. The last thing that they talked about during this panel was, of course, the Mandalorian and Grogu. Got a little bit of not a poster, but like a logo or whatever. I still don't love the title. It's only because it's part of my. I want to see Star Wars get a little more imaginative with their titles instead of so and such character. This is your title: Star Wars Ahsoka, Star Wars.
It's very comic book, isn't it? It's like you got Spider-Man, Iron Man, Venom, Captain America. Like, right. I think they're trying to use that to like put in, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back or The Phantom Menace. Like, just get original with it.
I know part of that is marketing, because as much as Mandalorian has been probably the biggest success that Disney Plus has had, not everybody had Disney Plus, the casuals. There's a lot of Star Wars fans out there that probably never got, like Star Wars fans, like not obviously fanatics like us, but Star Wars fans who just haven't watched any Disney Plus stuff because they're like, Star Wars is a movie. I want to go to see it in the movie theater. I don't care about the TV shows. So they might not even know much about who the characters even are. They've heard, it's kind of got into the zeitgeist a little bit because of like marketing and stuff. Obviously, I think Baby Yoda is out there. Baby Dave is out there.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian image is out there, but like as far as I don't know, so I guess I have to name it something like that. It's probably good for the overall casual audience brand, I guess you could say.
Call it Grogu's Big Adventure for all I give a shit.
At the end of the day, I don't care. That's true, because I whenever I complain about a movie title, which is not very often, I don't think, or even a TV title.
No, it's whenever we talk about this film.
Yeah, it's this film. Anytime, actually, I do complain a little bit. But it's always kind of like at the end of the day, I always follow it up with, as long as the movie or TV show is good. At the end of the day, I don't really care. I don't. But if I had to, I would try going somewhere else with it. But that's okay. Would you get a sizzle reel for that as well, or behind the scenes footage, or not? I can't even really call it a sizzle, because it was like the show had been in production for like 3 weeks, filming for like 3 weeks at most.
I'd say it's a sizzle reel.
Maybe it's a sizzle. It was like kind of like behind the scenes stuff. There was some recap footage, for example. It opened up with like the end of Mando season 1. Kind of like it was like the famous pointing at you thing from the little baby cow, the baby stroller, the space baby stroller. But we did get some footage. Obviously, we have one of the big things that came out was the return of Zeb. Zeb is going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu,
Cool.
and that got a big reaction, of course. That was very early on design there, which I'm happy for. I'm excited to see. I was kind of always surprised that we didn't get him in Ahsoka. Maybe that was their way to try to make it not Rebel Season 2. That's Rebel 2.0. We have in the Mandalorian, but I don't know. I think we should be careful about expecting this. I don't think this is going to be a Mandalorian and Grogu and Zeb movie.
No.
I don't think Zeb's going to be a big main character, but if he has,
he's probably just going to take him to whatever planet they need to go to, drop him off. They're going to have their adventure, and he's going to fly back in at the end when the cavalry needs to arrive. Because that is what happens in the Mandalorian. They go in, do the mission, end up getting their ass kicked, then the cavalry comes at the end.
Right, absolutely. In the film, so in the reel as well, we got a return of the Razor Crest ship.
Is it the Razor Crest or is it just a Razor Crest?
We don't know. Obviously, the Razor Crest that Din had was destroyed. So it's either a new. It's either because a Razor Crest is actually the type of ship it is, I guess, not the name.
Yeah,
so it could be a Razor Crest. It could be Zeb's Razor Crest. It could be a rebuilt Razor Crest. The one thought I have about this, and this is not to be too negative, but there's kind of like an lobbed out there towards the Mandalorian. Does the Mandalorian, especially with season 3 and beyond, has it gotten a little reductive in terms of like things happen and then it can get brought back to stage 1? Like Mando and Grogu get together, Grogu goes off with Luke. Also, the next episode we see them with Boba Fett. Grogu's back with Mandalorian. Mandalorian gets the Darksaber, and then also goes back to Bo-Katan again. Like, it seems like there's a lot of like take a couple steps forward, and then we kind of reset the narrative. And I understand resetting the narrative for the movie because it's like I said, just what I said before, the new audience and everything else. Do we need the Razor Crest to come back? It feels like that's another reductive thing. I don't know.
Here's the thing, and I think Joseph Scrimshaw put this really well. That's a symbol of home with the Mandalorian. With the N1, which if anything happens to that N1, so help me Satan, I will scorch earth, because that is my favorite ship. I loved it, just from like the hot rod sound and everything. But Joseph Scrimshaw said it really well. It's like that is a symbol of home for the Mandalorian and Grogu. That's like, it's a big, not a people carrier. It's essentially like a giant space RV. It's like where they made their home at first. It's where they bonded for the first time.
Right.
With the scenes of Grogu like trying to, hit the switch and take the ball and everything. So I feel like it is a coming full circle back around to not just to start over, because I think it is a start over, because I think it is a whole new adventure. I don't think it's going to be related to Mandalorian season 3. I think we're getting into that stage now where they are going to have to start set up for Filoni's movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be laying the groundwork a lot for maybe Grogu's backstory. But hell, I really want this to just be what people call an adventure of the week, but like feature. Like just have a cool story, a cool adventure with Din and Grogu that Zeb steps in and maybe hot Callus every now and again, like every 20 minutes or so, like Callus is there or something.
Right.
But I just want like a good story with these two characters that have created a bond. Now that I'm like, okay, we've seen you with Bo-Katan, we've seen you with Jack Black and Lizzo, and like, let's get back to a story with these two characters.
Right. I guess
hence the title, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Well, yeah, that's that. I mean, obviously, one of the Mandalorian season 3, one of the arguments against it, or whatever, the criticisms of it, I should say, was the fact that it's like Bo-Katan was kind of taking over the story a little bit, considering like the show is The Mandalorian, but then they got sidetracked a little bit, which, I can't like say it didn't happen. I think the criticisms were a little too strong for that. I still think that Bo-Katan was also a Mandalorian, and I liked a lot of the Bo-Katan story. I love Bo-Katan, so like, give me more of her anytime. But for a movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, I think you do have to focus on The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that has to be the focus, absolutely. I do think we're in a place where he's working with the New Republic now, which is why it sets up the Mando movie very well, sets up the Dave Filoni, because I think the Dave Filoni verse is going to be what we never got, which is the New Republic movie, because we obviously had Return of the Jedi, then we had The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens destroys the New Republic, and it's Leia's resistance again. Like again, talk about resetting. They reset the thing basically back 30 years again. So this is going to be the New Republic adventures. So I think Din is the face of that. Din is the face of Star Wars as far as that goes, because we can defend the sequel trilogy all we want. We like the sequel trilogy. We need to defend it. There's a lot of fans of it, obviously, and that's Rey's story. Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo Ren. I love those characters, and they are a wonderful beat. But if you're talking about Star Wars on Disney or Disney Star Wars, I honestly think at this point, Mandalorian and Dave Grogu might be the face of Star Wars, like, because that was the Mandalorian season 1 and 2 are pretty universally acclaimed by most Star Wars fans. So I think if you think about it, that's the key. So I think Din and Grogu will be the face of the New Republic, so to speak, and that's why we start here with that. But I agree. I want to see. I like the new status quo that they're being more like they said it in the trailer when one of the teaser lines was Din saying he has to be more selective with his missions now. He's got to train his apprentice. He called Grogu like Dave his apprentice, try to teach Dave to be a good young Mandalorian. So he's got to be more selective in his appointing, but he's selective because he's working with the New Republic.
Focus on that. Like, I don't like chuck in an end credit scene if you want the connectivity. Like, have like him being called. He goes back to that, what looks like Top Gun in space, but like have him go back to that base and they're being called to action because Thrawn's arrived. Like, that's a good little end credit scene.
Yeah,
if you want to do that. But like, as far as the main body of the story, just focus on these two. Like, you want to bring people in that haven't maybe seen The Mandalorian season 1, 2, and 3. You want to bring in these people that Din and Grogu are now the face of Star Wars. Make it about them. Don't go off. Oh, we're bringing in Hera for the sake of it. We're bringing in Zeb for the sake of it for connectivity. No. The title, if you're choosing to have the title, The Mandalorian and Grogu, stick to that.
Right. I think there's a way to do both, and I think you can do both. It's always a kind of tough balance, but I mean, as long as it makes sense, like Zeb appearing, that makes sense because we know he was at that base. He was at that base because he was in season 3 of Mandalorian. That's where he was, and if that's where Din is working out of, so to speak. It seems like that's where he's getting his new missions from. Zeb being there makes absolute sense. I wouldn't be surprised if they tied in a little bit to the end of Rebellion just to get some more of those bigger characters in there to kind of tie in the Mandoverse with the greater New Republic. I'm okay with that as well, especially since he's working for the New Republic. That makes sense as well. I do like the imagery we've seen. There was some Imperial imagery, which is kind of cool. I do hope we get Carson Teva in there, by the way. Speaking of that, I really hope he's there. It makes sense.
He's going to be in there. You can't have something Mandalorian
not
have Paul Young Lee in there. That's just
absolutely. But there's some great. One of the best footage. I was surprised at how good it looked already. It was Din and Grogu on the back of an ATRT. They're sprinting, like falling down this like snowy mountain, and it landed like right in front of some AT-ATs or AT-ATs for the young whippersnappers out there.
I do like that snowtroopers are getting their time. A lot of costumers that I know that dress up as a lot of people from the 501st that dress up as stormtroopers were very happy about this.
Absolutely. I love snowtroopers. I think they're great. We haven't had them in much outside of the Empire Strikes Back, really. Honestly, there's one or two.
We haven't had them on anything.
Has there been? I want to throw it out there. Maybe one was there a clone?
No.
I don't think we've seen them since Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, I'm happy to see them. But I like seeing the AT-AT. You felt the size of that. Seeing that in the movie theater is going to be great. That's the theatrical experience again. Seeing that big ass AT-AT out there, boom, boom, the shots fired down there. It's going to be great. It's going to be great imagery, and I think that
Grogu's going to bring it down with the Force, and everyone's going to get pissed off.
Maybe. But that's the idea. Also, is the idea that it brings back that Imperial imagery, which is something Star Wars fans know. So it's great for bringing in the Star Wars fans, giving you something a little bit familiar whilst in a newer storyline. I think it's smart. I think it's very smart. I do think that there's a lot riding on this. I'd hate to say that, but if the return to the theaters is a solo level thing, then that's not going to be good.
I think this is the perfect thing to do it with. I think this is less of a gamble, if anything, because if they were to put out, say, James Mangold's movie first or the Ray movie first, that's a gamble.
You misunderstand me. I'm not saying this is a gamble. I agree. This is probably the best bet, even though it's not a Star Wars numbered. We're not doing Star Wars numbered movies anymore. So if you're going to do it, this is the face and this is the way to do it. I'm just saying there's a lot riding on this movie in general. Like having it be successful. The first movie back, whatever movie it is, the first movie back in the theaters after 8 years, when it's been kind of like a little bit of a middling era as far as like criticisms, et cetera, et cetera. This has to be successful for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, it will be. We know this film's going to make $1 million.
I worry about that only because I worry about the Avengers coming out like 2 weeks later. I wish that they wouldn't come out at the same time, but it's coming out May 2026.
We'll see if that sticks.
Yeah, we'll see.
We got 2 years.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I will say I'm sorry if I sound negative this week at all. I'm just kind of like a little hesitant on some things. I love Star Wars.
You're being cautious about it, and I know I'm usually the one that's likes to be like, whoa, pump the brakes. But like you also have been doing this a long time, and you pay attention to a lot more of the nuance and the details and the minutiae of this stuff than me. But the way that I see it is like, what Star Wars movie hasn't made $1 billion since other than Solo? Right. But look at how much marketing was done around Solo. They're going to be pumping everything into a movie about the Mandalorian.
I hope so, and I hope that's the case. I think they will. So hopefully it'll work out for them.
Toys. There's going to be 1,000,001 movie spots, which are going to ruin the plot of the film. There's going to Pedro Pascal is going to be doing not only a run for that junket for Fantastic Four, but he's going to be doing one for the Mandalorian as well. They're going to roll out a whole new bunch of Grogu toys. This thing's going to make $1 billion.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I will say having Jon Favreau at the helm, being the director, is a great thing, because Jon Favreau is a very good filmmaker. He's a proven filmmaker. He's a successful filmmaker, and giving him a 2-hour film instead of a 8-episode, 10-episode series.
Well, if it's 1 hour 32 minutes,
right? We get a focused film. I'm happy for that. I think that's going to be good.
What if Filoni turns around and says, "No, you can't have 2 hours. It has to be 1 hour 32 minutes."
That's not going to happen. They don't tell Johnny Favs what to do. Johnny Favs would not accept that. The one last thing I will mention in the footage that I was happy to see, we are going to get some Anzellans in there again. Very excited about them. I love them. So them and Grogu in a tight looks like they were a shipper together or something. It seemed kind of fun. I can't wait. I don't know if the same Anzellans as they were before, but I'm all for it either way. So yeah,
we're getting a bad baby.
Definitely getting a bad baby. What do you think? So anything else on Mando that you want to touch base on? Or should we wrap it up?
Put it out.
Put it out.
Just film it. Get Pedro to do the voice, then drop it.
Sounds good to me, my friend. All right, that'll do it for us this week, Matty. Where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me on social media at Matty Mourner. You can find my band Mourner, Mourner, on all streaming platforms. We are shooting the music video for our brand new song, which is going to be coming out. I don't think I can say it yet. I can't say it. I'll announce it in 2 weeks, but we are shooting a music video next week. But yeah, I am very awesome. A lot of things are happening.
All right, follow the man for the latest adventures. Follow me at Paul_Newsy on Twitter. I'm all over PLD Projects, obviously. Got a lot of stuff coming on PJ and I. Like I said earlier in the episode, PJ and I returned with 2 Beta Way 2s on film on John Wick yesterday. We had a new episode of Review finally coming back. We had another break. We had a break for that show, too. It was unintended. It was just scheduling issues, illness between me and Lego. We finally got together and recorded the review of the 3rd episode of 2009's V. Of course, every week we do the Queen show on Crown Jewels. I believe this week is Don't Try Suicide. Freddie Mercury doing a cheeky anti-suicide song as only he can do, as it goes. And of course, I do have one-offs coming out on August 20th. Me, Mark Ellis, the Mighty Van Halen. It's going to be great. It's a great episode.
Can't wait for that. He's so good.
A lot of fun. But that'll do it for us. We'll be here next week on Holy Snokes, where we are going to tackle Ewoks: The Battle for Andor, the other Ewok movie. Teak and Wilford Brimley. Can't wait to rewatch that. This is the one I loved when I was a kid, so I can't wait to rewatch that one this week. And so stay tuned for that. And I'm a bad YouTube person. I didn't even say this at all. Like, subscribe, patreon.com/PLD Projects with Austin Cattell, with Brandon Buckingham, all these great people out there. And if you can't do Patreon, totally get it. But I could use some likes and shares and comments and 5-star ratings and all that jazz. Help us fight the Imperial algorithm. And yeah, until next time, though, as always,
may the Force be with you always.